My gosh, episode 21 of Oshinoko. Where do I even start? Where do I even start with this episode? There was so much in this episode, and there is so much to cover. Finally, now that Tokyo Blade's out of the way, we're finally getting to the characters again. We're finally progressing the story. We're throwing a whole bunch of crap in here, and then we have some weird, crazy crow lady showing up at the very end that's not even in the manga, at least at that part. So I'm guessing they're hinting at something in the future. We got the symbolisms of crows flying up that was similar to when Aqua, his previous self, died. I'm assuming that's the same place that he died. Apparently they still haven't found his body, so I'm guessing they're going to end up in that place, and he's probably going to find his body, and I'm wondering if he's going to reveal that the body's there, because you have over here Ruby still thinking about Sensei, and she's wondering what happened to him, and it's like, what are we... Again, there's so much in this episode. I'm just more happy the fact that we're finally getting more Ruby in this series, which it's been a while. It's been a while since we've gotten to this girl, and she's still struggling with this stuff. And I liked finally seeing that inner side of her that obviously she's hiding. But let's get into the episode proper. Let's just kick it up from the very beginning. Yes, having the whole little scene with Aqua talking to Taiki or Himekawa. And yes, getting the reveal that his dad's dead. Now, I still don't think it's his dad, or at least I don't think that's Himekawa and Aqua's dad. I think that's really kind of a misdirection there. This dude doesn't even look like Aqua. Now, there could be an aspect of, because of the whole reincarnation thing, that might mean that Aqua and Ruby's hair color is going to be different there. But again, how do you get blonde hair from a guy that got silver hair and a girl that has purple hair? Now, technically, that could not be Ai's actual natural hair color. I don't remember seeing if she at some point changed her hair color, but I don't see how you get blonde from those two. And so I don't think that's going to be the actual father. That might be a guy that adopted Himekawa. Don't know there. But yeah, it's interesting to see that Himekawa was talking about when he was 5 years old, there was this incident where his father and his mother double in themselves. And that technically does mean this took place, I think, about the point in which Aqua would be 3 years old, because there's a 2-year age difference between Aqua and Himekawa. So that would imply that when Aqua was 3 years old, which I don't remember exactly when or how old Aqua was when I died, but that could mean that the reason why that happened with Himekawa's father is because of what happened with Ai. They could have done that because maybe possibly they were going to reveal what was going on there. They could have been taken out in order to cover up Ai's death. Now, in the photos of the mother and father of Himekawa, the mother did have the same hair color as Himekawa, so that could 100% be his mother. It's just that's not his father. And what's the chances that Himekawa's mother slept with Aqua's father? And they covered it up, and then that might have led to the actual death. They could have been constantly arguing, because Himekawa points out the fact that he never got along with his father, that he always hated his father. And that could be eventually what kind of pushed them to maybe they had an argument, and that's when they ended their lives, is because she couldn't get over that fact that she slept with Aqua's father, and they couldn't go on with their lives, essentially, because she wanted to have the child. The father of Aqua did not want to have anything to do with it, and eventually that led to this double ending. There's a lot of things here. But yeah, it was definitely out of left field to actually get the reveal of Himekawa's parents, because my assumption there was going to be that Himekawa didn't know, because he came from a children's home and was adopted in. My assumption is that he didn't know who his parents were. That makes sense that if his parents died, he would end up in a children's home, and that's when, he was picked up. But again, even though this episode really does lay out, and it happens very quickly, Aqua's like, yeah, I don't have any more questions. It's done. The guy that I was after, the guy that I wanted revenge for, is gone. What do I do now? that was the entire episode, was literally, what do I do now? Normally, I'd be waiting for the next thing. And then we have the songwriter over here. Oh, crap, I gotta get close to that song. Oh, wait, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have a reason to be mad. I don't have a reason for revenge. And also, I don't have a purpose in my life again. It really does. It's kind of like out of nowhere with this reveal that Himekawa gives him, which I don't think is done. It really does feel like the brakes have been hit. Now, honestly, there is a side of me that almost thinks like if I didn't know that the manga kept going on, I could accept this was the end of it. Now, it could be. This could be the end of that, and now it's all this other story. It's everything else. And yes, possibly eventually getting into what caused Aqua to be reborn into as the child of Ai. It could get into possibly a supernatural being that has led for this to happen. But still, with this reveal of Himekawa, he no longer has that desire. And thus, yes, also what's the cool thing that comes from it is suddenly that I changes again. I no longer have that hatred. I can be happy again. Like when he goes to Ruby and Ruby's like, where have you been? Oh, I was with Himikawa. Oh, so it's just bros hanging out and getting better. Okay, you weren't being a delinquent. All right. And he's like, well, I'm going to introduce you to him later. Why would you do that? Yeah, obviously he's got to introduce you to your brother. But no, again, he goes over there and immediately gets the call from Kana, gets the text from Akane, and suddenly realizes, oh, those girls. Oh, I can be happy now. Yeah, suddenly it's like, okay, I can get with Kana, I can get with Akane. I have relationships I can get with now. It sucks too because, again, he's been so devoted to this. Ever since that one moment after Ai's death, it's just been nothing but, I'm going to track down this guy. I'm going to find him. I'm going to take him down. But I don't think it's over just because, again, I do believe it's probably going to get into why he was reincarnated. But additionally, I think it's going to probably get into somebody else was at play here. And that was kind of what I was getting into the previous episode impressions, is this idea it could possibly not be the dad. We just think it's a dad because I contacted the dad, and then right after that, all this stuff happened, and it could be like a cover-up from the dad. But I believe that there's another side thing to here, which would be the idea that it's not the dad, but somebody that was protecting the dad. And that could be tied in with everything that happened with Himikawa's parents. It could be all tied together, this idea of this massive cover-up, that somebody that was in power said, I can't have this get out. He's talking about meeting up with the family. I can't have that get out. I got to get rid of this. I just think the whole thing with Himikawa is just kind of a way of misdirecting it. And it does suck because this is a brief moment where Aqua is just kind of getting over it. He's finally moving on with his life, and he's stuck, obviously, because he has no future that he's set out because he's been so focused on this. But I think it's just sad, the idea that he's probably going to allow himself to get happy again. He's probably going to have some struggles going back to this place where the hospital was. But I think it's going to probably have him moving on with his life, and then suddenly that old self popping back up. You thought it was over. You let this go. Why'd you get sidetracked? Get back on track. It's not over. We got to find the people involved. But yeah, really interesting stuff. Really interested to see where that goes. And again, I'm very curious to see when they go back to this hometown. Is he going to find his old body? Is he going to meet up with this crow person? Is the crow person involved with him reincarnated? Did she discover his body when he fell? Is he going to discover his body and then is he going to report it? And that allows Ruby to finally get over all that stuff. And is that what going to finally connect the two of them? That's the big question mark. When they go back to that hometown, is Ruby going to reveal the idea that this is her hometown? Because they do know that they're both reincarnates. They just don't know anything about their past. And it could come up at some point where Aqua notices something and she says, oh, you recognize that? I recognize it too. This is my hometown. And then that might finally connect the two of them. Because right now they're sort of opening the door with Ruby's perspective in this episode that she, again, had this bond with Sensei. Reminding us that that was a thing. And that could be they're opening that door again to show you that we're going to have that reveal finally. And then what does Ruby think about that? Because she really liked Sensei. And now Sensei is her brother. And she can't like her brother. God, I just knew that when the moment I was going to start recording this, that I'm going to be all over the place. There's so much to talk about in this episode. It's so packed. But yes, let's get into Ruby's perspective. Because yes, we have this whole opening with Memcho talking about their subscriber count. I love this little scene. It felt like Memcho was trying to pep talk me. It's like she's telling me, Andrew, you're doing fine. You're working your way up. You're getting good. And everything that she said, honestly, as a YouTube content creator, is right. Memcho, everything that she's laying out there is just on the mark. The numbers might be different there. And obviously, they're talking about Japanese numbers and whatnot, but it is definitely everything that she kind of laid out there is correct. It's just that idea of like most people are down here. They're not even scraping a living. You get up to this point, you might start being able to scrape a living. And then, yes, it's asking a lot to get up in that upper echelon. That's the people that make it. And it's just like this minute amount of people. And it's like, but still hear her saying that you're doing good. It's like Memcho's telling me you're doing good as a content creator. I loved it. But yes, eventually getting into some content that they want to create in order to catch attention. The room tier stuff, which again was funny around Kana and the idea that she was doing all the tax write-off stuff. And again, that's all that stuff that just as a content creator or anybody in general that is making money, yeah. You're adults now, you're going to be running into tax stuff. And yes, as content creators, as, you know, people that are entertainers, these are write-offs. I like how Kana at some points like, yeah, when I get a car, when I plan on getting a car, I'm going to make a video out of it. Because yes, you can write it off. There's all these different ways they do for tax write-offs that you have to learn how to do eventually. Otherwise, life's going to jump up and smack you. Memcho's over there like, yeah, this is stuff you got to learn, girl. But yes, eventually jumping over to Ruby's room. And yes, having, obviously, the eye stuff on her wall and her really kind of struggling over the idea if she wants to cover it up. Do I take them down? I mean, is this something that's in my core? But at the same time, should I hide it? Should I reveal it? And then, yes, her bringing up Sensei. Not only that, but really pointing out the idea that the reason that I chose Bikomachi is twofold. And I don't think she's ever mentioned this before. The first was that, yes, she wanted to carry on this legacy of this, seek out the dreams that she wasn't able to do. But additionally, yes, way back here, she was trying to find Sensei. And I was curious about that because I know that Aqua looked into it. At some point, Aqua looked into trying to find out if they found his body and they still couldn't discover it. And yeah, apparently at some point, Ruby did. She contacted them and tried to find out where he's at. And they said, we can't find him. He went missing. He still hasn't been found. And so Ruby at that point was trying to create Bikomachi to catch his attention. That Sensei would eventually see that name and he'd contact me. It would be a way to be able to get a hold of him. Now, why he would contact Bikomachi in order to find her? I mean, he'll see it, and maybe she's hoping that he'll, become a fan, and thus that'll connect the two of them. But that wouldn't be really a way for her to find him, unless they did a meet and greet, and then she finally see him and go, oh, there he is, I found him. But still, very interesting to see that that was one of the reasons that she chose that name. But yes, that all leads into them talking about going to Miyazaki, and immediately Ruby's face was downcast. In the manga, she actually, in her head, is thinking, the place that I was born and raised and died. I don't think they ever really signify that. I know that she was sick for a long time. I mean, she basically lived in that hospital. Like, everything around her life was surrounding that hospital. But this kind of implies the idea that, at least in Miyazaki, she was born there, and maybe immediately got sick, went to the hospital, lived most of her life there, and again passed away. But yeah, they're going to go there in order to film because they're going to get some discounts on some stuff to wear for their music video and all this kind of stuff. Eventually getting into the song they're actually going to do, which apparently is going to be this one guy that did the song for Bikomachi. And again, Aqua going, I got to get a hold of this guy. Wait, I don't have to do that no more. And then yes, eventually roping Aqua into the whole situation because yes, Ruby's a little worried about him. You got to get out more. You got to get some R&R. Yeah, Kana over there is like peak. Eventually accepting it. She's super happy. But yeah, there's a side of me that kind of wonders if she's inviting Aqua for the sake that she feels uncomfortable. She kind of feels uncomfortable going back to that town. It kind of reminds her of her old life, what she went through. Maybe she's hoping that Aqua will kind of be a little bit of support for her. But I mean, we got to do it in order to drag Aqua back to their hometown and dredge up all that old stuff. But still, it kind of made me wonder if she was doing that for the sake that she's hoping that Aqua will kind of give her a little bit of a comfort there. I did like the stuff around the music writer, though, because they were kind of pointing out that this guy's having a little bit of a rut there, and they kind of fix it by Aqua sending a video of Ruby, saying hi to him and giving him that inspiration that he needs. Ruby just pours out that inspiration into his head, and he's got to go write something. But there was that whole thing about the delays and how Ruby was trying to push that there's some jokes in there about the idea that, yes, Memcho in 5 years, she's going to be 30. That us idle people, we're only going to be so long. And yes, technically, Kana can go back to doing acting. They have to move now. There's only so much time, and so she's trying to push them. But I do wonder if that was kind of a lot of that insecurities that she has. Like, she wants to move this forward. Like, she doesn't want to keep waiting. She only has so much time in order to fulfill Ai's dream. If she gets too old, if they get too old, or again, if she loses Kana or loses Memcho, she can't seek out that dream that she needs, which is to fulfill Ai's dream. But yeah, that all wraps up with the scene with the crow lady, I'm guessing I'm going to call her. Again, very interesting to see that it looked like she was possibly in that same little ditch that Aqua's previous self fell into. So I'm wondering if she's some sort of, I don't know, the thought process immediately jumps in my head that this person, again, seemingly being in the same place, kind of makes me believe that there's some sort of spiritual being or spirit or something like that, or yokai in that town that came across his body when he was dying and possibly kind of ushered in this reincarnation into the child of Ai. Is this someone that Aqua's going to bump into? Is it just going to be a random crazy girl in the town that, yes, maybe possibly came across his body or witnessed the whole thing that happened, and something can come of that? I'm not sure. But I'm curious if this will end up being some sort of entity or something like that is involved with the whole flip up that happened with the story. Anyways, very cool episode. Like I said, I just loved a lot of it just to see Ruby again. I've been hating the fact that Ruby has been such a background character, and I really do love her character. And I love finally getting into really what breaks her, because again, her whole story, Aqua's story has always been doom and gloom, hatred, anger has always been driving him, very almost like muted emotions. And it's always been to drive to this one goal, living for the past. And yes, Ruby is living for the past. It's Ai. but it's always about the future. She's trying to succeed where, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get there. She's going towards the future. It's positivity, whereas Aqua is revenge. It's negativity. And so to finally get to see where Ruby is hurting is the cool thing. Just like seeing Aqua having those moments of positivity right now is a cool contrast to their character. So it's kind of sad that there's a flip happening here. And I think that's obviously intentional, the idea that Aqua is now, at the point now where he's being able to be happy, and now Ruby is starting to hurt. Now Ruby is starting to dredge up her past and seeing all that pain and scars that she has. So interested to see where it goes from here. Really excited for the coming episodes. The unfortunate thing is I think that we're coming down to the end of this particular season, but we'll see. But hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, if you did, hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what's on the episode. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get my content. I do news reviews, first impressions, top list if it's anime, prove my chair. Just if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate if it does. Until next time, y'all take care.